Don't forget about love and purpose. Service is the mission, baby. Listen with love, listen with love, listen with love. Talk to your kids, ask them what's up, and listen up with love. Listen with love, listen with love, listen with love. Kick it with your kids, remember you were one, and listen up with love.
Hello, I'm Cindy Arenberg Seltzer, President and CEO of the Children's Services Council of Broward County. Welcome to another episode of Future First, Focus on Broward's Children. Would you believe that right here in Broward County, we have children and teens in need of loving homes? They're in the child welfare system through no fault of their own, because a determination was made that it was unsafe for them to be left with their biological family. And that is where you can come in. The goal of foster care is to keep children safe while helping their parents improve their parenting skills and overcome challenges so that they can bring their children home safely. Foster parents provide a caring, temporary home until it's deemed safe for the child to be returned to their family. As a foster parent, you have a very special place in the lives of the children you foster. Those who answered the call find that the rewards of foster parenting far outweigh the hardships. With us today to talk about the joys and the hardships of fostering are Julie DeMar, Chief Program Officer at ChildNet, Mark Dhooge, President and CEO of Kids in Distress, and Dr. Mary Kinirons, Executive Director of the Heart Gallery of Broward County. Later, we'll be joined by two former foster youth, Kadence Sullivan-Kinirons and Woodson Benjamin. But first, let's talk about the system. Of course, ChildNet in Broward County is the child welfare agency, is the agency responsible for overseeing the child welfare system. And Julie, today you are their representative.
I am.
With great knowledge of the system and the needs of our foster children. Can you talk a little bit about where we stand today in the system and foster children?
Sure. So today in Broward County, there are a little over 1,000 children who do not reside in the home with their parents who are a part of the system. So they reside in a mix of foster homes, kinship placements, and group home and shelter placements. Right now, there are about 380 children residing in foster homes, which is a really positive thing, and then a number living in kinship settings. But there are about 140 children in Broward today who reside in group homes or shelters. So these are not situations that are family-like. They do a great job of providing care for children, but we want to see them be able to be placed with families and be able to have the support of adults who are there all day. So these are one of the things that we really are looking for, is how we can increase the number of foster homes so that there can be more children placed in them. One of our greatest groups in need of foster home placement are our teenagers. There, of that 140 that are placed in group homes and shelters, about 100 of them are over the age of 13. So that is the greatest group that is represented in that group home setting, who we want to be able to see reside in foster homes.
And I'm sure that many of our viewers have probably read some of the articles in the paper that make out the group home setting to be a horror show. And we do know that there are challenges, and we certainly want all of our children to be in safe, loving environments as they grow up. I'm a mother of a teenager. It can be a little challenging to have a teenager in the home, but we have agencies that will support you as you go through that process of being a foster parent. Mark, talk about what KID does.
Absolutely, Cindy. Well, 22 years ago, we started licensing foster parents through privatization. When ChildNet became the lead agency, they contracted with agencies like Kids in Distress to license and support foster parents. And support is one of those key elements. Foster parents need the support of not only an agency that's going to be there for them 24/7 to answer questions, involve themselves if there's a crisis situation, navigate the system, but also what's very important is to hook those foster parents up with their peers. So system support around like-minded foster parents in the community is also incredibly important. So we have a Facebook page, as a matter of fact, where our foster parents can go to that is private. They can poll their peers and ask questions of their peers, gain resources from their peers. But that level of support is so important because if you don't have that support, many of the children that come in, they're unpredictable. You have to co-parent oftentimes with a birth family, and that support from a professional agency, many of whom have been foster parents themselves, is incredibly important to ensure that foster parents are able to care for the children in that family setting.
I just want to pursue that for a moment because, I said in the opening about how there's great joy and there's also challenges. I also said I'm the parent of a teen. So we know whether that child is your biological child or a foster child or an adopted child, the teen years are exciting ones, to be sure. So I do think it's really important to understand that support that is available to you so that you're not in this alone. But the love and support that you can give a teenager, and especially if you're a parent who has parented a teen and you know what to expect, at least a bit, it's great to know that there's that support available. And some children have been through a lot when they come into the home. I don't think we want to gloss over that some have experienced some pretty big challenges. I don't know who wants to speak to that, and how you can support them and be there.
So I can speak a little bit about that. My husband and I recently adopted 3 kids from foster care, and one of which is our beautiful daughter, Cadence, that you'll hear from later, who is 18 and a teenager. And I have to say, it was something we were a little nervous about, not being parents before, bringing a teen into our lives. But it has been one of the most amazing experiences of our life having her in our home. And it is not without challenges, not just because of what experiences they've been through, but also challenges for us for understanding how to navigate it. And I have to say the supports we're receiving through both ChildNet and through Kids in Distress actually has been phenomenal in helping navigate being supportive of their trauma and their experiences in a way that's positive and continues to help them grow. But also understanding patience is one of the key things, is understanding that you will make mistakes. I know I've certainly made my fair share and I'm continuing to work on it, but being there to be receptive and to be strong, it's really what they need, is a strong home who will help take care of them while they're figuring out themselves and their life and taking this next part of their journey together. And it's finding families and foster families, and luckily she had a very strong home that she was at before us, support them during this time. I know, and she'll talk more about it later, that there were things she wished she could have gotten more of, but I'm glad we're here for her now.
It's beautiful.
Cindy, I think sometimes, the media portrays foster care youth, especially teens, as extremely troubled, right? And although kids come to us oftentimes with significant trauma, there's a big difference between trauma and troubled. You know what I mean? And oftentimes when we encourage foster parents to show that unconditional love and gain the trust of those kids, you see that these kids are just like any other teenager. I had a teenager, you have a teenager currently, and teenagers go through a period of time that they have troubles of their own, but they're not troubled, and they should not be identified as troubled. What they really are is teenagers who just need the love and support of a caring family.
And Julie, let's explore that a little bit, because I said again in the opening that these children are in the system through no fault of their own. It's not because they're troubled or difficult children. They're there because their families are going through some stuff.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that? How they could wind up in the system?
Sure. So there are 2 main reasons that we see that children still enter the foster care system today, and the 2 largest reasons are substance abuse and domestic violence. So the challenges, and then the challenges associated with that. So sometimes there's inadequate supervision, maybe the house and the environment isn't appropriate. So those are the 2 leading causes of entries into the foster care system, while there still are other things, that physical abuse and other items that people, I think, sort of stereotypically think of the reasons why children enter foster care. But a lot of it really centers around the neglect and the challenges that the families are having themselves. And then as a result, the children, if there are no ways in which to keep them safe while their parents are working on addressing whatever that challenge is in their home, then they will enter the foster care system and again enter into one of those options in out-of-home care, a kinship setting, a traditional foster home, or into a group care setting.
I think one of, speaking of misconceptions, people think, oh, they just, the child welfare system comes in, just yanks children willy-nilly out of a house. But in Broward County, we have a lot of services. KID is one of our great providers that will go in and work with the family before to try and keep them, if the child can be kept safely at home, we'll do that here. If not, though, it's also important that a foster family recognize that the goal is reunification usually. So can you speak to a little bit about how a family who's bringing this child into the home, developing those relationships, can wrap their heads around the goal is to reunify them?
Sure. A lot of foster parents come to us and come to the system to adopt, right? But there's really very few children that are available for adoption because the goal of foster care is always reunification. In our professional world, there's a term called co-parenting. And one of the things that we are very strong with when we go through the initial phases of training our foster parents is that it's really important to partner with the birth family and co-parent with the birth family. Again, making sure that there's safety involved. We want the foster family always to be safe, the child to be safe, and the birth family to be safe. But many of our foster parents actually, when a child is reunified, they stay in contact with the birth family and they become a natural support system for that family on an ongoing basis. One of our friends, as a matter of fact, who recently had their own baby and actually had a foster child, referred her the family back to KID for our family support services because they were co-parenting with the child that was reunified. And they are a very significant support for this family and will be until that child grows up.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Because it's all about the children. That's what we want, is for them, the children, the youth. I try to be careful. Those teenagers don't like to be called children. To say that we want them to be in safe, loving homes, wherever it may be. Mary, you were bringing up that before we got on air, that we're having such a shortage here. Talk about that.
Yeah, so with the Heart Gallery, we're seeing a lot of the kids that are available for adoption are not staying local because there's just not enough foster homes for them, whether it's to try and preserve sibling groups or if it's for additional needs that just can't be supported here by the foster homes we currently have. We have children that are in our gallery that are up as far as Jacksonville, and we also often partner with Miami-Dade and Palm Beach to see if there's kids that are moving county lines, but their cases stay, where they originated, to partner to see how we can still do recruitment together, even though the kids are not local to, where their case started, which is hard for them because they're leaving the area, maybe the only area or home they've known, not just the physical house, but the actual location, schools, county, everything. And in Florida, some of the counties are a different culture. It's a different feeling when you get there.
Absolutely.
So when you're moving them, it's just adding to the trauma. And it's something we really need to address here to bring in more families because it's going to just help them heal more holistically if they can stay in the home they've known.
So true. Yeah, Mark, did you want to say something?
I was going to kind of tag on to what Mary was saying is that, locally recruitment is difficult, for a number of reasons. Economics is difficult. People feel that they can't be a foster parent because, they don't have the resources or they don't have the support or that the foster system is a bad system. Again, the negativity surrounding foster care in general, but the reality is that fostering can be one of the most fulfilling things that you do with your life. You're literally taking a child in, treating that child as though they are your own, and giving back to a child who would not have that opportunity, in the future. One of the things that we do is encourage our foster parents, and at the very beginning when we partnered with ChildNet, as our number one goal was to ensure that foster parents had the resources that they need on every level that they possibly could. And ChildNet has been incredibly gracious in ensuring that on a monetary basis, on a health basis, on a physical basis, that the children in the families get what they need to adequately care for children. And that's a big turnaround compared to what fostering was 30 years ago. But yet there's still kind of this negative connotation that goes with. So my message is always, don't be afraid to ask the question. One of the things when somebody comes to our organization or one of the many other great organizations to be a foster parent is that, they get a lot of training, they get a lot of real life experiences before they become a foster parent. They get questions answered from foster and adoptive parents that have already gone through the process. And it's critically important that they know all of those things before they foster, so that they know what they're getting into. But I'm also here to say that Mary's been a foster parent, I've been a foster parent, Julie has worked in residential programs with foster kids, and we've all, it's probably the most in our professional careers, at least in mine, fostering and being that foster dad was the most rewarding thing that set me on a course to do this work on a career basis.
You guys are great examples of why we have such a, great system, just great people in this work in Broward County who are there to really support children and families. And so I want to thank you for bringing all of that up. And I want to take this time now and hear from two young people who have experienced being in the system and what it meant to them to have great foster parents. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Take care. And now I'm really excited to give you an opportunity to hear from two young people who were in the foster care system, one who had a loving foster home and one who spent their time until they aged out in a group home, and what a difference it would have made for them. So welcome, Cadence and Woodson. I'm so happy to have you here. I think our audience needs to understand the real people behind the stories that we just told and what it meant to you. Cadence, you said you experienced it all. So tell us what that means.
Well, for me, I tended to get separated with my brothers a lot. So, and that was mainly in the group homes. When we both found a foster family, which I lived with my best friend. Her mother worked at a group home, which is where we first reunited together again with. We got to see each other a lot more often. We weren't in the same home, but we constantly seen each other. We were hanging out and just having that bond again. So I just feel like it's more important to have foster families.
That's really important. So you are one of three, was it?
One of two?
Two?
Sort of. There's three of us.
Three of you. Yeah, okay. And so they were younger, I guess, did you say?
Yes.
And so they got put somewhere else in a different home.
Yes.
That had to be really hard. So in addition from being separated from your parents, you were separated from your siblings. So yeah, that idea of looking for families that can take in a sibling group, so important. Now, Woodson, you told me that you aged out while in a group home.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? When did you go into the group home? How old?
The last group home that I've been in, I went in like 2 years ago. I managed to age out from that group home because while I was there, I managed to get the support and the help that I needed, and to really try to like become more successful in my life and take things more serious. You know, while I was there, I was there with people who like, I guess like cared more and would talk to me more, and they were supportive and they helped me understand, you know, that I needed to do better. But in the beginning for me, I've been going through like group homes, you know, back to back. So it took a while for me to really settle down and like find somewhere to really stay to and like age out all the way through, which I'm thankful for because I've managed to learn a lot throughout my time.
And how old were you when you first got involved in the system?
I was 14 years old.
It must have been pretty difficult. Was there ever talk of you being in a foster home, or did you just go immediately to a group home?
You know, I was sent out to a group home in the beginning.
Would you have preferred? I mean, what difference do you think it would have made to you to be in a family setting as opposed to a group home?
I mean, honestly, I think anybody would like prefer to be in their family setting. what difference it would make for me, I guess things would have turned out differently in certain like aspects in my life. But I don't know, it made me feel like I became more stronger over time, you know, because like I've managed to be on my own and like learn to be on my own, and you know, and that's like something I feel like I was, you know, I'm thankful to have learned, and that's, you know, that's what works, you know.
Well, and I think, you know, for our viewers out there, to understand that if you can open your home to someone like these young people, whether it be one young man like Woodson or a family group as Cadence was with, you can help them have stability, right? You're coming from something that was somewhat chaotic, I would think, and pretty unsettling.
Yes, ma'am.
To be separated from your biological family. And if you can provide a loving home, you can help someone like Woodson learn the normal things, right? That's what you were saying, that you got to hear that finally in that last group home where they were offering you some of that normalcy, some of that teaching.
Yeah, more so with like support, you know.
Which every parent, which is what we all want for our children.
Yes, ma'am.
Cadence, you're now together with your siblings?
Yes, I am.
That's great. And what has that meant to you?
It means everything to me. They're my whole world. I love them.
And what was it like to be, so you said in the last situation that you were in, the last foster home you were in, what kind of support do you think you got that was different than when you were in the group homes before?
I got people that was a lot more understanding, especially with it being my best friend's family. They understood me more because I was always over there, so they were already familiar with me. I was already familiar with them. I felt comfortable and I felt at home. I didn't feel like I had to pretend or fake being happy. I could just be me, and it gave me a real peace of mind.
That's so important. Thank you for sharing that. And also interesting that you said it was your best friend's family. So some of our viewers may not even realize what their children's friends are going through. And how did that come to be? Do you know?
Well, my best friend had already knew. Her mom wasn't very much aware of it. She found out more when we first got taken away. And then eventually she got all of our information and kind of just moved us to the group home she worked at. That way we could actually be together. Because in the beginning we were separated, so.
So nice. So you were lucky there that she was connected in a way that could at least bring you together until you were fortunate enough to all be adopted.
Yes, not every kid is as lucky.
No, but hopefully this show will help others find out that there are beautiful, loving young people who are in search of a home, whether it be a temporary foster home or long-term adoption, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else you want our viewers to know today about your experience, about what it's meant to you?
Well, I would like to say, you know, whether it's like good or bad, everything that I've been through or learned, like it was all just a learning experience for me, and I've just continued to keep evolving, and I'm thankful for that, and I'm just gonna keep evolving. So, even if there's a kid out there who's been through or is going through what I'm going through, I just, you know, you gotta take in the good with the bad and just keep trying to evolve and do better, that's all.
That is a great message.
I would like to add on to that it's okay to be scared. I was absolutely terrified. I was a wreck. But it does get better with time. It does, no matter how hard it is.
Thank you. Thank you both for your honesty and your vulnerability and for plugging away, because you will continue to get support and you can continue to grow.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can make a difference in lives like these. There are children out there who need foster parents who can make a lifelong difference. And even if it's a short time, you never know when you sign up if the child will be with you for a short time or a long time. But in any case, the first life that they may change is yours. Ask yourself if you are called to answer a child's wish and open your heart and your home as a foster parent. Thank you to Julie DeMar, Mark Dhooge, Dr. Mary Kinirons, Kadence Sullivan-Kinirons, and Woodson Benjamin for a wonderful, heartwarming discussion. I've been your host, Cindy Arenberg Seltzer. For this or any other episode of Future First, focus on Broward's children, go to our website, cscbroward.org, where you can access our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and remember to join us next time on Future First, focus on Broward's children.